I had 5 days that I wasn't going to be with my kids. And so I made the decision that that was the time that I was going to double down. I bought a large amount of substance of my drug of choice. I finished what I had. The substance that I had, I used the last bit of it, and I wanted to die. I was at the point where I am going to die. And so in that moment, I was looking at my phone and I saw my real dad in Texas. He was on Facebook and he was talking about how he had been sober for 2 years. So I said, man, you're either gonna kill yourself right now or do something crazy. So I ended up calling my dad, who at that time I hadn't talked to since I was 14 years old. And he answered the phone. He's like, hey, what's up? And I said, I hate you. I hate you. And I don't know how to change. I mean, my story starts back when I was a child. You know, I grew up in a household where I knew that my real dad left when I was 1 year old. That was the story that I kept hearing. And I kept hearing about how my dad chose drugs and alcohol over me. And that really shaped my view on father figures and what a father is and what a father shouldn't be. And so I can remember, 5 years old being like, I never want to be like my dad. So coming to high school and a little bit of the college life that I did, this is when I started, partying a little bit. I started finding security in the party, if that makes sense. And I remember one of the first times that I had something to drink, I felt like this freedom. Girls started noticing me. I started getting attention. I could talk a little bit better until I had too much to drink, of course. But I had this confidence about me, and I forgot all the pains and all the fears that I grew up with. I went on a cruise, I met somebody, and I found out that she's pregnant. And it goes all the way back to when I was 5 years old, when my mom told me that my dad left because he chose something else more than me. And so I said, I'm never gonna do that. Never gonna do that. I'm never gonna leave my children because he did it. And so I stuck around in this relationship of this person, and we ended up having another kid. And during this entire time, it's like a blur to me because I was just in deep sadness. I had I had two amazing children now with this person, and I lost myself, because I was pursuing this belief that I don't want to be like my dad. And in all that sadness, I went even heavier into drugs and alcohol and the party on the weekends, and I started missing work, and I started making poor choices. And there was this deep sadness in me, like, man, I'm being just like my dad. Man, I'm choosing drugs and alcohol, and I'm although I'm physically around my kids, I'm not really there. In my pursuit of trying to find happiness and trying to make money, during this time, I ended up meeting somebody in 2019. She was awesome. Great with my kids. Man, I really just poured my energy into her, and she became my resource of happiness, if you will. And so I really invested a lot of time, energy, and effort into that. But I also was investing a lot of time, energy, and efforts into my habits on the weekend. And so after about 2 years being with this person that I desperately wanted to marry, she left me, for good reason. I had 5 days that I wasn't going to be with my kids. And so I made the decision that that was the time that I was going to double down. I bought a large amount of substance of my drug of choice. Funny enough, it sounds interesting and it sounds funny, but I went and hid out at my grandma's house. They were out of town. They have a big house and they have a big liquor cabinet. So I brought my drug of choice to my grandma's house, my grandparents' house. And so for about 3 or 4 days, I stayed up, didn't go to sleep. I was just in my mess. I finished what I had. The substance that I had, I used the last bit of it, and I wanted to die. I was at the point where I am going to die. And so I was replaying all the stuff in my life and choices that I made, and I didn't want to be here anymore. And so After all these years of trying things, therapists, I hired my own therapist, I went to detox programs, I was doing all the things I thought I was supposed to do. I bought a house at 21, I bought a truck, I'm doing all these things that I thought I was supposed to do in life. No one held my finances, I owned my finances, and none of that mattered. At the end of the day, I got to this point where I wanted to die. And so I remember in that moment, I was looking at my phone and I saw my real dad in Texas. He was on Facebook and he was talking about how he had been sober for 2 years. I'm like, what does that even mean? How does that work? And so I said, man, you're either going to kill yourself right now or do something crazy. So I ended up calling my dad, who at that time I hadn't talked to since I was 14 years old. And he answered the phone. He's like, hey, what's up? And I said, I hate you. I hate you. And I don't know how to change. And he said, you know what? I'll fly to Florida. And so January 6th, my dad that left me showed up for me, and he brought me to a recovery meeting. And January 6th of 2021, my life changed, and I took a leap, and I said, I don't want the old life anymore. I don't want to chase that disease. And that was the day I got sober, and I've been sober and clean ever since. And as we are sitting here today, I'm 3.5 years clean and sober, and man, my life is different. And what I learned really quickly in a recovery program is that the things that I might think of that might be the solution to my problems were never the solution. And it wasn't until I committed to a spiritual solution in my life that everything changed. The day that I said, God, I give this to you, the obsession and the thought and the fears around the drinking and the losing my children and the wanting to die all vanished. And it was an incredible time in my life. And it's interesting how God works. He let me make a lot of money, meet the woman of my dreams, have 2 beautiful children, to get to a point where I lost it all, almost lost my kids too. Because I didn't have those things, I was able to focus on a spiritual solution in my life. And I was recognizing that through all the pains and my dad leaving and the money going and the heartbreak and the drugs and the alcohol and the chasing that I was doing, that he was always there. And so that started a different view of my life. I started reading the Bible. I gained this new confidence in life. I knew that I didn't want to be the dad that I thought I was supposed to be. I wanted to be the dad that I needed to be for my kids. And I realized that I was looking at life all wrong. I was looking at my business all wrong, that I was looking at my purpose all wrong. And I realized in that moment that I'm not destined to go do something else that's greater, that I'm destined to be greater in what I'm doing. So back in 2017, I decided to start a little side business. And at that time, I had my daughter, and my daughter's name is McKinley. And so I thought it was fitting that I named this little side company after my daughter. In 2021 of August, when everything changed, my purpose and my vision and my calling in life had changed. The name meant something different for me in that moment. And that was hope. And that was some restoration in life. And the company that I have happens to be a company that makes restoration in homes. We change people's homes. And as we have grown as a business over the last few years, we've really honed in on servicing windows and doors for replacements in people's homes, replacing the old and putting in the new, the story of my life, for people's roofs. Damaged roofs, leaking roofs, Those roofs that were put there for protection are now failing. And we get to come in and serve these people and replace roofs. Always thinking about what is the best solution for the homeowner. That when we go into people's homes, I want to impact their lives in such a way that they're just calling us to see how we're doing, and we're calling them to see how they're doing in their personal lives, and not because of the product that we stuck in or the roofs that we changed. Our number one priority is serving our clients, serving the people we come in contact with. That is our mission. And I want that service to speak so loud that they could see who we're working for. And we're not working for me. I could promise you that. And so now today, when people see our name, McKinley, I want them to see the name of hope and the name of high quality professionalism and the people that provide solutions that are long lasting. And so that's what I get to do today. I get to be a part of this movement through the name McKinley because of God in my life, changing the mission of my life. That I no longer have to live on the fears that I lived on, that I get to just be of service to the people I come in contact with. And the rest will fall into place. Even more amazing than that, the amazing power that God has had on my life is that woman that I wanted to marry so bad back in 2019 and 2020. In 2022, we reconnected and we got married. That the woman that I thought I wanted to marry ended up being the person that God wanted me to marry. We have a beautiful son, and that is the greatest victory. That I get to be a father to all three of my children, and I have the most amazing wife supporting me, supporting the family. And I get to share those things with my kids. And I get to talk about where I came from and what's actually important in life, because it's not the money, and it's not the fancy cars, and it's not the things that you can go acquire. It's about what's in their hearts. You know, what is their heart telling them, and are they focused on God? I'm just super grateful that I have this second chance at life, because if I can change one person's life as a result of just meeting them, that's enough for me. And that's what I do. That's my story.